The Platinum Jubilee weekend is undoubtedly one of the most historic occasions in the Queen's 70-year reign, but how will the Sussex's presence possibly destabilise proceedings? You can include the Sussexes, but you don't want there to be some sort of Harry and Meghan sideshow going on. If they didn't come, however, it would really represent that kind of total separation of powers, and they don't really want that. Harry and Meghan initially said that they thought it was doubtful they could attend the Platinum Jubilee celebrations because of this ongoing concern about their security. So there was a sense from Harry's side particularly that he didn't feel his family would be safe without their Metropolitan Police funded protection. That was taken away when they left for America. There's been an ongoing row, and indeed Harry has effectively launched a legal action against the Home Office to try and get his Met Police bodyguards reinstated, even if he pays for them out of his own pocket. The Home Office has said no, we can't do that because that sets a precedent for any VIP coming over thinking that the Met Police are for hire. The timing of the Sussexes saying that they would come to the Platinum Jubilee celebrations has been interesting, because what happened in the first instance is that Buckingham Palace released a statement saying that the only people that would end up on the Buckingham Palace balcony were those who were still working members of the royal family, notably not Harry and Meghan. We then got a statement issued by their people from LA saying, well, actually they are going to come, and it seemed as if the timing was more than coincidence, this idea that initially the Buckingham Palace are trying to control the narrative, then the Sussexes are trying to control it. Well, what do Harry and Meghan derive from not coming? Not much, because they want to keep up their royal ties. It's obviously helpful for them to still be in contact with the Queen, and for the public to know that, not just in the UK but also in America. We don't know, for instance, what role Netflix had in filming them making that visit to Windsor Castle some weeks ago. If they didn't come, however, it would really represent that kind of total separation of powers, and they don't really want that. Neither side does, because the Queen has always insisted that they remain much loved members of the family, regardless of what may have been said or done on Oprah or elsewhere. So they want to be part of the celebrations. They're also going to have favourable publicity on the back of the fact that they're bringing their children, Archie and Lilibet, who the Queen hasn't even met, to see her on this momentous weekend. The constellation behind the palace is this: they made this case for Megxit, that you couldn't be half in, half out. You couldn't have your cake and eat it. You can't go off and sign deals with Netflix and the rest of them in America and then have this quasi-royal status. If they had allowed them on the Buckingham Palace balcony for that trooping the colour moment, then they would have been given the best of both worlds. You can include the Sussexes, but you don't want there to be some sort of Harry and Meghan sideshow going on when the main event must be HMQ, the Queen. And equally, there'll be other members of the royal family who are still doing the daily grind, who will resent being overshadowed by Harry and Meghan, even if they don't admit it. You're not going to want to have the likes of Princess Anne and the Earl and Countess of Wessex, for instance, who day in, day out plant trees, unveil plaques and go to the opening of royal envelopes, only to have the media completely focus on Harry and Meghan, who aren't playing a role at all in the so-called family firm. How quite the palace PRs all this. They've got a degree of control over Harry and Meghan while they're in the confines of Buckingham Palace and the confines of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations official, but of course there's nothing to stop the couple freelancing and doing their own thing while they're in the UK, and that, of course, if they're going to be seen out and about with their children, is going to generate publicity. I find it interesting that lots of people sort of write to me when I've written articles about Harry and Meghan, which they've clearly read and commented on, and then they send me emails saying, why are you still writing about them? They're not members of the royal family. The point is, there is an appetite for Harry and Meghan news. And I'm in the news business, so I'm always going to write about them if we think it's newsworthy. Therefore, this idea that everyone's going to turn a blind eye to anything that Harry and Meghan might be doing, I think is fallacy. Yes, they might be quite polarising. Some people in the UK don't seem to like them anymore, others absolutely love them and will champion them on social media. But there's a market for stories about the Sussexes, and indeed stories about their children, and that's going to continue. I don't know what the Cambridges are thinking about them being at the Platinum Jubilee right now, because we know that relations between both couples still remain quite distant. of course, Prince Charles, who the only emotions that have ever been used by him or his people about how he's reacted to things like the Oprah interview are sadness rather than anger. So Dad is sad. I think brother is angry and sad. But as was the case with Prince Philip's funeral, brave faces will be put on proceedings. The most interesting addition to the proceedings, of course, is Meghan, because previously we've seen Harry by himself in the UK, and now the Duchess is going to come back into the fold. Obviously, the body language and the reading of it is going to be quite fascinating. A successful visit, as far as the royal family is concerned, is everyone smiling and looking like they're having a great time, and the Queen being front and centre of all of the proceedings. What they will want to avoid is any briefings coming out of LA during the weekend. You know, this has happened or this hasn't happened, or people aren't all singing from the same royal hymn sheet. Oh, to be a fly on the wall to be in some of the meetings that are going on behind the scenes to ensure that this all goes off without a hitch. But we know what families are like. I think the main priority for all of those members of the family, because it always has been this, is going to be the Queen and making sure that she isn't overshadowed. Because actually, regardless of who's in camp Sussex or Cambridge or no camp at all, nobody is going to ingratiate themselves with the public, both in the UK or overseas, if they overshadow our 96-year-old monarch on the most momentous and historic weekend of her reign.